Welcome, everyone. Happy Tuesday night to the Marlboro Township Board of Education regular meeting. It's September 20th, 2022, and it's 7 p.m. at Marlboro Memorial Middle School. Good evening, then.
Good evening,
Can you
Dr.
please
Heller.
call to order?
Sure. Good evening, everybody. How's everybody doing?
Good evening.
Hi,
Mrs. Hi.
Hi, Ben.
So roll call vote. Mrs. Amster?
Here.
Mrs. Branch?
Here.
Mr. Petruno?
Here.
Ms. Piernick? Mrs. Rosado?
Here.
Mrs. Shrem?
Here.
Mrs. Salaci?
Here.
Mrs. Strafasi?
Here.
And Dr. Heller?
Here. I will now read Sunshine Law. Be advised that this meeting is being held in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231 PL 1975, Sunshine Law, and that the adequate notice of the date, time, and agenda has been sent to the Asbury Park Press and the news transcript and has been posted and filed with the Marlboro Township Clerk. Copies have also been sent to each district school and other area newspapers in accordance with the law. I am not going to read in full, but will bring your attention to statement of videotaping of public portion of Board of Education meetings, public comment statements, no smoking or vaping on school grounds. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Positive quote. The time to be happy is now. The place to be happy is here. Robert G. Ingersoll. I butchered that completely, and I apologize to that gentleman. Okay? That was bad. Okay. Oh, good. Anyway, I did want to take it upon myself before we start any ceremonies or whatever. But it was pointed out last week, and I want to give a big shout out to Robin Bornstein that I had not mentioned the donations from last week. My bad. Allow me this opportunity to say that Frank J. Dugan Elementary PTA for their donation valued at $250 for assorted school supplies. So thank you very much for helping the kids. And thank you, Ms. Bornstein, wherever you are. And anyway, let's move forward. Let me first mention this. Okay, so back in 2019 and even before 2019, I was dedicated and I made a recommendation. The board instituted the Employee Recognition Program, which honors those employees who are here today who have dedicated 25 years or more of the service to the district, including those who have retired. Due to the pandemic, the program was placed on hold until this evening. Tonight's program honors those employees who began their tenure in 1994 to 1995, from 1995 to 1996, and the school year 1996 to 1997. This evening, we have 32 employees who will be honored, and all had been invited. The recognition plaque, which you will see to my left, is displayed with each honoree's name and school year which they began serving our students at MTPS. The plaque will continue to hang on the board administration, at the board administration office, where it has been for years. No less than 800 years combined of service by these 32 individuals. Simply amazing, and I cannot thank you enough. And now let's begin the festivities. 800 years.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Congratulations to our honorees. I'll begin and read by the year. So when I call your name, please come up and we'll acknowledge you individually. For the 1994-1995 school year, Joan Donatelli, Kim Hampton, Deborah Lamoot, I know I saw her. Congratulations, Deborah. Sharon Levy, Catherine Lisk, Cecilia Malanafi, Janet Schwartz, Anita Solomon, Christine Treza, Nayusa Wagner, Elizabeth Walsh, the 1995-1996 school year, Lainey Gershman, Marsha Gross, Karen Liddy, Jennifer Pellissier, the 1996-1997 school year, Farah Bono, Mary Corona, Dorothy Cook, Dara Dietz, Gina Denora, Dawn Esposito, Amy Glassberg, Sharon Julian, Marianne Cavalier, Stephanie Marion, Judith Olesh, Harleen Ross, Kelly Siver, Deborah Spadafora, Wendy Weiskopf, and lastly, Maria Yazo. Congratulations to all of our honorees. Let's give them a nice big round of applause.
guys should be very proud. Your family members with you, and in a few minutes, we're going to take a break, allow you to take pictures and mingle and everything else. So what I'm doing is I'm going to make a motion to take 10-minute recess to allow people to mingle. Do I have a second?
Second.
Jill, any discussion? I see none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Thank you. We take a 10-minute break, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, boy.
Acknowledge Cecilia Malanafi. Thank you. Have a great night, everyone, and you're welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting.
Thirty seconds, ladies and gentlemen.
But that's what Jessica said. I had no idea because last week it was like this too. And this week it was like this. So I just thought that was
Good evening again. Vin, could you call to order for
Sure.
the roll call? Thank you.
Mrs. Amster?
Here.
Mrs. Branch?
Here.
Mr. Petruno?
Here.
Ms. Piernick?
Here.
Mrs. Rosato?
Here.
Mrs. Shrem?
here.
Mrs. Salaci?
Here.
Mrs. Strafasi?
Here.
And Dr. Heller?
Here. I just have to say that the families and everybody was so excited. They're immortalized on that plaque, and they should be. It's been to be with a company or be with an organization or be with anything for 25 plus years is not easy. And I appreciate each one of them. So I really want to say that. With that being said, what we're going to do is, Dr. Hibbs, any announcements, please?
Sure. And I think that's the most number of years Dr. Heller, any board president, has ever read at one time. So congratulations. You're going to go in the record books for that one. So I wanted to start by talking about our opt-out numbers. I had said before that I would be able to report out on where we are for grades 5, 6, 7, and 8. So as of right this moment, here is where we are. In grade 5, we had 462 respondents out of a total 462. So 100% of fifth grade has given us their has chosen in Genesis, and the percentages in grade 5, and this is for sexual orientation and gender identity. 32% opted out, and 68% opted in. So given a choice, 32% said, "Please do not teach that standard to my child." And 68% of our parents and guardians said, "I'm okay with that standard being taught to my child." In grade 6, we had 603 respondents out of a total 605. So actually grade 6 represents the only place where we had not 100% capacity. So there's 2 in 6th grade, and principals are reaching out to both parents. There was some registration proximity. They just registered. Sorry, I couldn't get that out. So they were working through those issues in that moment, but there's no doubt that the principals will be able to solve the last 2 in a decent amount of time. So that would be, and grade 6 was 21% opted out and 79% opted in. So 21% and 79%. Grade 7 had a total of 591 respondents. All 591 have selected, and that would be the exact same percentages as grade 6. 21% opted out, 79% opted in. Grade 8 had a total of 561 total choices. Of those, 561 chose 100%, and for the for the gender identity and sexual orientation question, it was 21% and 79%. And then for the question, or for the standard involving sex, it was 28% opted out and 72% opted in. If you make a total average of everything, it averages out to 25 and 75%. So as we had said before, principals will still be in contact with those 2. No one outright refused, so we're working with the few remaining parents to have them make a selection. So I just wanted to opt out and give the opt-out discussion.
Thank you.
Good?
Thank you.
Okay. I had one more,
No,
sir.
Sure. Sorry.
So I wanted to take just a moment and talk about the concept of respect, which I think is really super important. Having a working environment that's respectable is one of our core values. Being kind and never being hurtful or disrespectful are 2 of our district fundamentals. We value all of the constituency groups that come together in this room: staff members, parents, board members, community members. It's essential that we all maintain respect for each other at all times. Last week's Board of Education meeting included what I believe was disrespectful behavior from certain board members directed towards administration. I'm not alone in my perception of what occurred. The board received multiple emails from several concerned community members, and I had numerous individuals approach me expressing concerns as well. So I just want to take a moment and remind everyone that we are all here for the district, which includes the students, the staff, and the community. The staff that are here present at meetings are working. Hostility is unacceptable, as this is a work environment. Sir.
Thank you. Vin, motor vehicle abstracts, please.
All abstracts were run and all privileges are in good standing.
I appreciate that very much. We're going to go to public comments. Those who wish to speak should state their full name and place of residence. Comments should be limited to 3 minutes. Please use the timer in front to be mindful of your time. Members of the public should be respectful and avoid back and forth or debate with administration, professionals, or board members responding to the inquiry or comment. Again, no back and forth. Be respectful and civil. School board members and administration will withhold comment until after the public comments. Vin?
Sure. Thank you, Dr. Heller. First on the list is Mr. Moshe Grant.
Good evening, members of the board and administrations and members of the community. Moshe Grant, 8 Southbury Road. Following my comments here in relation to Article 6, Paragraph 2 of the U.S. Constitution and the federal law last week, and taking into account the fact that there is no law in New Jersey that can effectively prevent a parent from opting their child out from anything within the entire school curriculum, including all lessons that they find to be conflicting with their conscience and sincerely held moral and religious beliefs. Mr. Ballone reached out multiple times for lengthy, detailed conversations in relation to the opt-out form we have officially submitted. And earlier today, we had an in-person meeting to finalize such session. The mutual agreed-upon solution was that we, the parent, will submit a fully executed Form 5250, where prior to that, Mr. Ballone will send an official district communication guaranteeing that none of the items in Section 2, items A through L of our own opt-out form will be presented to our children within all other curriculums, lessons, programs, and activities outside of the health education, family life education, or sex education program as noted in Policy 5250. It was discussed on several occasions that such agreement needs to take place prior to this board meeting today. Therefore, a final meeting was scheduled for this morning and took place. An email communication from Mr. Ballone came at 2:12 p.m. today following such a meeting stating that a related email is forthcoming. Unfortunately, such communication is yet to come. I will not read my entire opt-out form here, but I will note the main topics. Abortion, birth control, sexual activities including oral and anal sex, sex orientation, transgenderism or general identity, written materials of reference to or referrals to an outside agency, group, individual, or organizations relating to sexuality. Obscene or harmful to minor materials, whether in print, in verbal, or online. Collection of data in relation to the listed items above, any advertisement related to the listed items above. 25% of people from our community, parents, opted out from sexually related health curriculums. Now, board member, if all that I mentioned is not incorporated outside the health curriculum, the family life curriculum, and the sex educating program as noted in Policy 5250, why am I still waiting for such approval after so many discussions? And why was my initial opt-out form denied? Thank you.
Thank you. Vin?
I do not have any more on my paper list or electronic list.
Okay. I'm sorry.
No, no more.
No more?
Yep.
Would anybody like to come up? Okay. Administrators or board members will respond afterward.
Dr. Hurley, I think we have one.
My name is Nancy Georgie, Morganville. I would like to follow up on a question that I asked Dr. Hibbs last week regarding the dress code, why we have a dress code and not being enforced in our schools. That's number one. Number two, policy number 5756. While it was discussed on the webinar online, should I feel safe sending my kids to the school knowing that anybody can talk to them anything and they would take it at very young age and accept it, and then I shouldn't be aware of it? I think that shouldn't be. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? No? Administrators and or board members will respond afterward. I'd like to make a motion to close public comments. Do I have a second?
Second.
Jen, any discussion? I see none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. The ayes have it. Would anyone from the board or the administration like to comment?
Sure. To Mr. Grant, sir, you've been provided numerous communications about why your opt-out didn't comply with 5250, and that also included, I think, about a 50-minute meeting today with Mr. Ballone. And then, can't hear me? Sorry. Mr. Grant, you've been provided numerous communications about why your opt-out didn't comply with policy 5250, excusal from class or program, and I believe that included phone conversations and face-to-face meetings with Mr. Ballone. So I disagree, and that's inaccurate information that we didn't help you understand what you needed to do differently. We actually gave you the highest level of service possible. And it's important to note that 5250 covers health instruction, family life instruction, sex education, and the dissection of animals. As far as the second question goes, I don't know what dress code specifically violation you're talking about. So what I would do in that moment, reach out to your building principal and ask that question. They'll be happy to assist you with your dress code question. And as far as the concept about just talking about anything, we don't do that in the curriculum. If you have a specific curriculum question, Mr. Ballone will be happy to help you. Sir.
Thank you. Anybody else, please? I see none. We're going to be moving on then. Dr. Hibbs, communications, please.
Sorry, Randy, just
Wait.
real quick. Can we get a little clarification on what policy 5756 is? Yeah, which policy is it?
5756.
Like, do we know what it is?
I didn't mention that.
No,
Oh, I don't know. Was it dress and grooming?
Yeah, we had someone bring up policy
Dress,
5756.
is dress and grooming in, hold on. No? I don't know. I don't know just numbers off the top of my head. Oh, okay. I'm being told it's transgender, but I don't have it open in front of me. Yeah. But any questions, you can reach out with curriculum to Mr. Blum.
Any other questions? No? Okay, so we will be moving on. Dr. Hibbs, communications, please.
I think the only thing that we have for communications, Mr. Malone, you wanted to do some student impact, right?
Yes. So as we mentioned last week, we have two students, Maya Doshi and Gabriella Prince, former fifth graders from Frank DeFino Central Elementary School, who were coached by teacher Farah Bono. I think she's still here. She was here. Oh, she left. Okay. For placing second in states in the NJSBA, New Jersey School Board's STEAM Tank competition back in June. Maya and Gabriella, along with Mrs. Bono and Miss Amy Young, the gifted and talented teacher at DeFino Elementary, have been invited to present at New Jersey School Boards this October. So just to get a little sneak peek of what the STEAM Tank entails, we have a short video here for you, and we'd like to continue to congratulate them and support them in this endeavor through October.
Each year, Marlboro Township Public Schools shares with staff and students of all grade levels and subject areas a worthy opportunity to engage in the STEAM Tank Challenge while receiving personal support and guidance provided by the New Jersey School Boards Association and the United States Army. Created and sponsored by the NJSBA and the U.S. Army, the challenge inspires students to become the next generation of entrepreneurs, inventors, scientists, artists, and engineers applying collaborative problem-solving skills. The challenge is for students to invent something new, modify an existing product, or identify a situation or problem that needs attention. Supporting STEAM learning will enable our students to compete in a global marketplace and drive New Jersey's growth. It supports education that equips students to identify real-world situations, solve problems, innovate, and present creative solutions. For the 2022 STEAM Tank Challenge, 3 teams from Marlboro Township Public Schools moved on to the regionals. Of the 3 teams, Team CO2, led by Maya Doshi and Gabriella Prince, former 5th grade students from Frank DeFino Central Elementary, placed second in the state finals on Monday, June 13, 2022. In addition to a monetary award, the students received 5 honorable mentions. This team also received digital badges for display, including creativity and the arts, collaboration with subject matter experts, human-built environment sponsored by the American Institute of Architects, and sustainability. During this year's October NJSBA's annual workshop in Atlantic City, Maya and Gabriella, with Mrs. Farah Bono and Miss Amy Young's support, have been invited to showcase their innovative ideas, prototypes, and solutions in the STEAM Tank Theater. Congratulations again to Maya and Gabriella.
Dr. Hibbs, harassment, intimidation, bullying, HIB report for September 8 to September 14, 2022. Yep. Thank you.
No incidents, sir.
Thank you. We're going to move on to Trish. Can you please read Policy Development and Community Relation Matters Resolution 1 and 2?
The Superintendent of Schools submits the following resolutions for approval. 1, change of meeting date. 2, policies 3216 and 4216, dress and grooming. I so move.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Susie, any discussion, please? I see none. Vin, roll call, please.
Mrs. Salachi?
Yes.
Mrs. Strafasi,
Yes.
Mrs. Amster,
Yes.
Mr. Petruno,
Yes.
Ms. Piernick,
Yes.
Mrs. Rosado,
Yes.
Mrs. Shrem,
Yes.
Mrs. Branch,
Yes.
and Dr. Heller.
Yes. Meeting dates, Tuesday, October 11th, 2022, workshop meeting, and Tuesday, October 18th, 2022, regular meeting. Aldo, can you please read approval of minutes?
Superintendent of Schools would like to submit the approval of minutes resolution, number 1 of 1. Approval of minutes. I so move.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Kathleen, any discussion? I see none. Roll call then, please.
Mrs. Branch,
Yes.
Ms. Piernick,
Yes.
Mrs. Rosado,
Yes.
Mrs. Shrem,
Yes.
Mrs. Salachi,
Yes.
Mrs. Strafasi,
Yes.
Mrs. Amster,
Yes.
Mr. Petruno,
Yes.
and Dr. Heller.
Yes. Vin, Secretary Business Report, monthly certification, and payroll certification, please.
Yep, so this is the monthly certification for the board secretary for the month of August 31st, 2022, and the payroll certification, this is for the month of August 2022.
Thank you so much. Now on to committee reports. Jess, communications, please.
Yes, so unfortunately I wasn't here last time to address some of the things that came up about communications, but prior to our meeting I did send out an email to every single board member to add anything to the agenda, as well as for all the board members to see the agenda, and the minutes were available afterwards. In regards to the town hall, it was discussed. We discussed different ways in which we could have town halls. We talked about Old Bridge. We talked about perhaps having like a theme of the month. Our concern was some of the legalities and some of the specifics that we would need to finalize. We did, like Aldo said, move up the meeting from December to beginning of November. Mr. Zittimer, our board attorney, was invited, and he will be there to help us navigate through everything, and hopefully we'll be able to report out at the next Board of Education meeting following our communications meeting.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Christina, curriculum, please.
I know that I have to speak with Mr. Balone once he gets the EOY data. Then we'll set a date that would be feasible for you.
Yes, we're ready. So,
You're ready?
Yep, we're ready.
Okay, so I'll be sending an email to see a date that works for everyone on the committee.
Okay, thank you. Does any of the other committees have anything to add? Kathleen?
I just have a question. When are we, by the end of this year, 2022, will we have a date on the calendar for 2023 regarding the town hall? Because I vaguely remember us talking about this all the way back in March or April. And that's like a long time ago. I'm just saying. So are we going to like nail it down? Like to get a date?
We did talk about it. The other board members who are in the communications committee were at the meetings, and that we did discuss it. Hoping to get it. We just have to go through all the specifics to make it happen in regards to the board attorney and recommendations.
I mean,
It has to run through committee.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
It has to run through committee, and
Yeah, it runs through committee, and we started talking, brainstorming different ideas, and it became very clear that there was just more details that needed to be worked out, and we wanted to have our board attorney there to kind of help us understand. So we are moving forward with details, and we'll hopefully, as Jess said, be able to report out and have movement.
Based on what we had discussed at the last meeting, it sounded, and if I'm mistaken, correct me, but it sounded like one of the questions that we had, Mr. Zittimer, maybe you could help clarify, was whether or not there was 5 or more board members present at the town hall, if then it would need to be, advertised and all as a public meeting. Would it be feasible, like, is it an option to just maybe advertise the meeting in the event that 5 board members are present, and if they're not, at least it was advertised, or is that not a possibility? This way we could, try and get something like on the books.
So the answer is yes. We could advertise it as a board meeting, and if 5 people show up, we have to comply with the Open Public Meetings Act, the agenda, the minutes, the statement at the beginning of the meeting. And if less than 5 showed up, we wouldn't have to go through all those legalities.
Okay, all right. Yeah, maybe that being said, I'll be happy to send an email later, Jess. Maybe we can see if we can get something, you know, set up. I think that was,
It's set up for November 15th. It's on the calendar, I believe.
for the council meeting or the town hall?
Oh, for
I mean, for the committee meeting?
communications meeting, yes.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about, you know, if we could get a town hall set up.
Oh, yeah, after we pass everything through Mark to make sure it's okay, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, maybe we can, you know.
At that meeting, maybe we can set up the first town hall once we discuss what the format of it will look like, right? Because something we had discussed was, would one of the town hall meetings replace a workshop meeting? Would it be, those were some of the questions that had arisen. So maybe at the next meeting, that is something that we can put on the calendar so that we can report out after that.
Okay, yeah, that sounds good. Thank you.
Can
Susie?
I ask, have we had a town hall in the past? I don't recall having one since I've been
We've
on
never-
the board. Was there one prior to me? Because I remember attending a meeting prior to going on to the
since you've
board
been on
at
the board.
the
Not-
other middle school.
Yeah, how long is that?
Was that a town hall?
There has not been a town hall or something like that in over 10 years. I don't believe, from what I'm being told.
Okay. And do other school districts typically have town halls yearly, every couple years? What is it?
You know, my firm represents a lot of school districts. This would be the first. I'm not aware of any of my school clients having them. I think somebody mentioned Old Bridge did one, I heard before, but I've never been part of it, so.
It's their committee.
I can't speak to how
it's a
often they have
committee?
it. I attended one in
Okay.
Old Bridge.
Old Bridge is the committee.
Old
So
Bridge
they
is the
have their
committee
committee.
meetings, and their
Yes.
committee meetings are held in public.
Correct.
So it's not a town hall meeting, it's a committee meeting.
Yes.
And so
Yeah, that's
what-
different. That's different.
Yeah, so that's the committee meetings, but they didn't have a town hall. Just so I'm on the same page, what is the purpose of the town hall than what we do here?
I think it was to allow the public the ability to have a natural discourse with board members and administration and have that normal back and forth conversation style about issues that are pressing to them. I
So
believe that
it's
was
basically having the public comments, but allowing the back and forth.
like a normal
Like a
conversation.
Okay, got it, thank you.
Okay, so we're going to move forward. Dr. Hibbs, district violence and vandalism report, please.
Yeah. So twice a year, we have to have a hearing. So the following information applies to the second hearing. 21 incidents of violence and vandalism for the second part of the 21-22 school year. That's December 2021 through June 2022. 14 incidents were classified as harassment, intimidation, or bullying. 1 substance possession, 3 assaults, 1 threat, and 2 confirmed substances. Sir.
Thank you very much. Vin, accountability continuum, please. Are you doing it or Dr. Hibbs?
Want to take it?
Someone?
I'll take it.
Yeah, Michael, fine.
Sure. So we are proud to report that the state's accountability system, it's called the New Jersey Quality Single Accountability Continuum. We are rated in 5 areas: instruction and practice, fiscal, governance, operations, and personnel. And Marlboro Township Public Schools and every other public school in New Jersey undergoes this process every 3 years. Last year, we were now a verb called CUSACT, and we passed with flying colors instruction and practice at 88%, which includes state testing. Everything we can control was 100%, and then the state testing gets added in there. And all of the others, fiscal, governance, operations, and personnel, were 100%. So we're happy to report that we are in compliance with all of the mandates set forth by the New Jersey Department of Education.
Thank you very much, Mr. Malone. Kathleen?
Mr. Balone, does, I looked at the chart, the pretty chart that you sent, thank you. The 88%, does the CUSAC, does the state come in and say, this is what you should, do they give you recommendations to help you rise, like how to, 88% and here you go? Like, what happens?
Good question. So the items we could control, they would come in and say, this is where you can improve. The items we can't necessarily control due to the state testing calculations, they don't give us any feedback on improvement. In instruction and practice, in 88% is a high score, being that state testing is calculated into that figure, knowing full well that our students do well on state testing, but they don't come in with any specifics. One year they did. One year they came with specifics with respect to our world language program. At the elementary level, it wasn't as strong as they would have liked it to be. We had one, but it didn't have, at the time, didn't have world language endorsed instructors. So they put forth a recommendation to include or hire world language endorsed instructors for our elementary world language program. We did that, and so that was an area that they gave us feedback on. We improved it and gained our score back. No.
Christina?
I just had one question I wanted to just clarify. So on that same CUSAC, could you just share out, I look for specifically, they kind of break down ELA, math, science, and all the content areas, and then it says curriculum designed and implemented to meet grade or grade level expectations. It says you can get points, 4 points, and then the district score was 1. So does that mean we only got 1 out of 4 points in that category? I just want to see if I'm reading it.
I'd have to look at the report. I don't have the specific report in front of me.
Am I allowed to share that with you?
Sure.
Yep. So I guess my question was, are we lacking specifically in that area? I know also the MTSS area, there was 6 points that you possibly could get. We got 1 as well. So is that indicating that we need to do something district-wide to improve in those areas?
No, I'm just trying to look at this section here. I believe this has to do with our state testing data, but I can come back to you after I look at this closer.
Okay.
Yeah. No, we wouldn't have lost points on anything other than state testing.
But then if it said 4 points and then we only got 1, we didn't lose any points? Does that mean like the maximum points you can get is 4 or 6?
So I think in accordance with this page right here, they're looking at state testing data. And notice this is from 21-22, which they look back on. So, but I'll come back to you.
Okay,
and give you
thank
a little
you.
more specific.
Thank you. Any other questions? Yes?
How exactly, if you wouldn't mind sharing, Mr. Bullen, like how does the CUSAC, it's rated based on, there's different areas that are weighted differently, am I
Yes.
understanding that correctly?
Yes.
And
So
Go ahead. Yeah, no, if you wouldn't mind, if you could just elaborate a little bit, just because I had heard the term being used during the webinar, and I just wanted to understand a little further how how we arrived to the number that we do have as a district.
Sure. Yeah, so for state testing data, there's, depending on what the averages of our student scores are on state testing, NJSLA, there's a calculation that they provide. If every student got a perfect score, you would obviously have the full points. So that score, we started with an 88% based on state testing data. So there are basically 2 sections, if you can think of the instruction and practice section of CUSAC. There are 2 sections. One is state testing, and there's a calculation calculated by the state. And then there's everything else, curriculum, and anything related to what we can actually control. That section we scored 100% on. The state testing data, we essentially started with an 88. So we didn't lose any points over our curriculum design implementation. we lost points on state testing data, knowing full well that every single one of our students did not score a perfect score on the NJSLA.
Is there some place where we could see like what the different like areas are and what their weighted like
Sure.
measurement is?
I can provide that to you.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you.
Mr. Petrino, in the attachments for the board that were sent out, all of the indicator sheets are in there.
Oh, okay.
So this happens every 3 years, where the state will come in, and it's basically like a 3-year audit where they'll look at different sections, whether it be finance, governance, operations, curriculum being one of them. So they'll look at like if we have minutes on file, they'll look at, do we have all the board secretary's reports on file, they'll look at his area with curriculum, they'll look at governance, whether we have certain policies in place, whether the board has, does their trainings in time, do we file certain things in time, things of that nature. So that's all laid out there, and each one is weighted differently, so you can actually read each one.
Yeah, that's
and
what I
it'll
was
show
looking
you
to see.
Exactly
That's
what they look for, and they tie together with other areas. So if you fail one, you might fail another.
Right, right. Okay, I'll take a look into it then. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Jess, can you please read financial and business operations matters, please?
The superintendent of schools submits the following resolutions for approval. 1, transfers. 2, list of bills. 3, secretary monthly reconciliation reports. 4, travel. 5, harassment, intimidation, bullying, the HIB report. 6, 2022-2023 school year bus routes. 7, authorization for ESCNJ to develop nursing services contract for the 2022-2023 school year. 8, amended resolution out of district placement for the 2022-2023 school year. 9, non-public school requests for technology purchases under the New Jersey Non-Public Technology and Program for the 2022-2023 school year. And 10, state contract purchases. I so move.
Do I have a second, please?
I'll
Susie. Any discussion, please? I see none. Vin, roll call, please.
Sure. Mrs. Talachi?
I abstained to number 4, but yes to everything else.
Okay, thank you. Mrs. Strafasi?
Yes.
Mrs. Amster?
Abstain to number 4, yes to everything else.
Okay. Mrs. Branch?
Yes.
Mr. Petrino?
I'm abstaining to number 4 and yes to everything else.
Thank you. Mrs. Rosado?
Yes.
Mrs. Shrem?
Yes.
Ms. Piernick?
Yes.
And Dr. Heller?
Yes. Christina, can you please read curriculum matters?
The superintendent of schools submits the following resolution for approval. 1, approval of curriculum guide. I so move.
Do I have a second? Trish, any discussion? I see none. Vin, roll call, please.
Mr. Petrino?
Yes.
Ms. Piernick?
Yes.
Mrs. Shrem?
Yes.
Mrs. Salachi?
Yes.
Mrs. Strafasi?
Yes.
Mrs. Amster?
Yes.
Mrs. Branch?
Yes.
Mrs. Rosado?
Yes.
And Dr. Heller?
Yes. Susie, can you please read personnel matters?
Personnel matters. The superintendent of schools submits the following resolutions for approval. 1, retirements. 2, resignation. 3, employment certificated staff. 4, employment instructional assistant. 5, employment bus driver. 6, bus drivers, hours and salaries for the 22-23 school year. 7, bus attendants, hours and salaries for the 2022-23 school year. 8, staff paid with IDEA funds. 9, amended salary, non-certificated staff. 10, reassignment and amended salary, non-certificated staff. 11, transfer, certificated staff. 12, transfer, non-certificated staff. 13, assistance, after-school activities. 14, curriculum, Title I coordinator. 15, curriculum, Title I building facilitators. 16, curriculum, power coaches. 17 curriculum reporting and data coordinators, 18 curriculum LEAP coaches, 19 curriculum LEAP coaches, 20 curriculum RISE coaches, 21 curriculum RISE facilitators, 22 curriculum ESL family literacy program coordinators, 23 curriculum ESL family literacy facilitators, curriculum writing, 24 curriculum ESL family literacy program facilitators, 25 curriculum online programs coordinators, 26 curriculum turnkey trainers, 27 curriculum coordinators, ELA, math, social science, and social studies, 28 curriculum CPR first aid training, 29 amended extracurricular activities advisor, 30 painting of murals, cafeteria, 31 stipend mentor teachers, 32 mentor induction, 33 student practicum, 34 administrative internship, 35 substitute rates teachers, 36 substitute rates school nurse, 37 substitute rates non-certificated positions, 38 substitute rates bus drivers and bus attendants, 39 substitute teachers, 40 substitute instructional assistant, 41 substitute school monitor, 42 substitute couriers, 43 substitute transportation secretary, 44 paid medical disability leave, 45 unpaid leaves of absence, 46 amended resolution leave dates. Is that it?
I so moved.
Is that it? Okay, I so move.
Excellent. Do I have a second? Christina, any discussion? Yes, Christina.
Could someone just elaborate the difference between a Title I coordinator and Title I facilitator?
The
difference between a Title I coordinator and a Title I building facilitator.
Yep. Title I coordinator is the district level leader for the entire program, which includes budgeting, program, resources, supplies. The building facilitators are specific to the building. So we have 2 buildings that qualify this year and have qualified over the past several years. And that's at Robertsville and DeFino. And those are point people at the building for that to run the program within the building. So when the coaching sessions take place, and if there are any questions related to the program that comes down from the Title I coordinator, those are point people in the building to help the teachers, boots on the ground. You know, sometimes it's on their preps or after school or before school, they're helping them out.
And is that the same, like the power coaches, Leap and Rise coaches, they're all like the instructional coaches within the building for those programs?
Yeah, so the coaches actually hold sessions before or after school. They're outside of school hours to comply with the mandates of the ESEA grant.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Kathleen.
Yeah, I just want to piggyback on Christina's question for the Title I coordinator. Could that be, does that have to be an admin position, or could like a tenured teacher apply for that position and like do that as well?
It's listed as administration.
So it's
administrative
admin.
costs, yes.
Got it. Thank you.
Any other questions? Did we roll call?
Yep.
Yeah.
So just before we roll call, there's a correction to number 38, the substitute rates for the bus drivers. So the bus drivers should actually read $25 per hour, not 23.
Thank you.
Okay.
You said 25 then? I'm sorry. I wanna make
Yes,
sure I heard you
25,
right.
not
Thank
23. Okay, with that, I'm going to do a roll call. Mrs. Salachi?
Yes.
Mrs. Strafasi?
Yes.
Mrs. Amster?
14 no, the rest yes.
Mrs. Branch?
Yes.
Mr. Petruno?
14 no, the rest yes.
Ms. Piernick?
I'm abstaining from number 12, and the rest, yes.
Mrs. Rosado?
Yes.
Mrs. Shrem?
Yes.
And Dr. Heller?
Yes. Mr. Balone, do you have any letters to read?
I do.
Thank you.
I will be reading 3, and Dr. Hibbs will be reading the last one.
I'm not reading it.
You have to. The first one, retirement comments for Karen Kirkwood. Karen Kirkwood, school nurse at Memorial, is retiring after 21 years with the Marlboro School District. She began her nursing career in 1977 and worked for many years in the ICU, CCU units of various New Jersey hospitals before coming to Marlboro in 2001. Karen's first assignment in Marlboro was in the POP program at the David C. Abbott Early Learning Center, followed by a move to right here at Memorial when it first opened in 2003. From the very first day, Karen formed a close partnership with nurse Dara Dietz, and their collaboration and cooperation have continued throughout the years. Karen is known to all of us as having an incredibly positive attitude, which was evident even in the face of the extreme demands experienced in these most recent years. She's a consistent presence, chaperoning at evening concerts and shows, and has always been heavily relied upon to cover last-minute openings at other district schools. Her flexibility, patience, professionalism, and dedication are just some of her wonderful qualities. We hope Karen enjoys more time to garden and more time to spend with her husband, Ed, and 2 sons. We wish her many years of great health and happiness. And her partner in crime, Dara Dietz, is also retiring. Dara Dietz, school nurse at Marlboro Memorial, has announced her intention to retire from the Marlboro Township schools at the end of this year. She began her career with Marlboro School District 25 years ago, and we saw her here, honored tonight, as the 7th grade school nurse at Marlboro Middle School. She's been a nurse since 1979 and worked for many years in the OBGYN department in Brooklyn and New Jersey hospitals before becoming a certified school nurse. During her time in Marlboro, Dara has worked with hundreds of students and colleagues and has left a lasting impression on each one. She has dedicated her time and efforts to providing exceptional care for the students and staff she has worked with. In spite of the extraordinary demands of the last few years, Dara's positivity, professionalism, and composure never wavered. She is to be commended for going above and beyond during these challenging times and for being an invaluable resource to other district nurses by sharing her knowledge and vast experience. Always calm under pressure, Dara's reassuring and comforting presence will surely be missed. All of her colleagues at Memorial and within the district wish her a retirement filled with good health and quality time with family. Retirement comments for Jackie Siniscalchi. Mrs. Jackie Siniscalchi has faithfully served the children of Marlboro Township in various capacities for the past 16 years. She has spent the past several years at Abbott working in our preschool program. As a testament to her dedication, Jackie has worked diligently to learn our programs and methods. She has worked with teachers to learn the unique needs of each student and how best to support the acquisition of their learning goals. Jackie can often be found working with a student on a specific skill, organizing and preparing a class activity, or consulting with a teacher about an upcoming lesson. When asked what she is most proud of, she noted that making a difference in children's lives has been the most rewarding aspect of her time with us. She loves to watch students learn and grow. In retirement, Jackie is looking forward to enjoying some downtime. She plans to travel, including an upcoming trip to Barcelona, Spain. In closing, Mrs. Siniscalchi's experience and dedication will be greatly missed. We wish her a very happy and healthy retirement. Respectfully submitted by her principal, Mr. Perno. And I'll turn it over to Dr. Hibbs.
Yeah. And Jackie, Karen, and Dara are not still here, correct? Okay. And in case you couldn't figure that out, we are absolutely looking for 2 school nurses at Memorial. It's going to be interesting. Okay. Sadly, I have the honor of reading the retirement comments for Teresa Rousseau. For those of you that may not know, Teresa has been my secretary for the last 10 years and has worked in our district for 19 years. Teresa has worked in the business office, the HR department, and has been the confidential secretary to the superintendent for the past 12 years. Words can't express how much we are going to miss Teresa. When the staff was asked for retirement comments about their interactions with T, the responses were truly remarkable. Her departure will certainly leave a void in our district. So true. They had fond memories of consistently losing the lottery. That was a good one. Lost a lot. Teresa goes out of her way to help any staff member, student, teacher, or family, and that's the truth. Her great demeanor she has a great demeanor and a positive attitude. She was a great mentor, coworker, and friend. She was the glue that held the administration building together. We have the impossible task of replacing her. Despite how full her plate was, she always made time to help others. She was constantly dedicated to Marlboro. She was a pleasure to work with, had a great sense of humor and wit. I'm not sure about that one. Teresa was always willing to share knowledge, help others, and offer advice. She had an incredible personality, willingness to help at all times, and they were definitely going to miss her farming abilities, as if you haven't seen her cherry tomato plants, they're like 15 feet tall. Had to buy a separate ladder. She was the heartbeat of our school district. She was thoughtful and caring, and she had tremendous patience and kindness. Now here are my words. Teresa has been such an important part of our district for the past 10 years. It is honestly hard to say goodbye to someone you work so closely with for so long. When I think of the qualities I look for in an employee, Teresa has so many essential qualities. T, you hustled 100% of the time, 24/7. You were always there when I needed you, day or night. You're hardworking, patient, and kind, and you're a problem solver, the best I've ever seen. Teresa is organized, brilliant, and dedicated to the students and staff of Marlboro. What made Teresa so special is that she never deviated from her core values. She was honest, caring, and she always told you how she felt, no matter if you wanted to hear it or not. I will miss her great sense of humor, her solve any problem attitude, and her work ethic that was second to no one on this planet. I will miss her greatly, as we all will, but she leaves knowing she has made a difference here for our students, staff, and community. I wish her the very best in retirement with Anthony. You stink. And know that we will remain friends for a lifetime. Let's give Teresa a hand. She's going to do great things.
You will surely be missed, Teresa. I can say that. But combined to all the four individuals who were mentioned, 82 years of service, and I wish you the best of luck moving forward. So what we're going to do is we're going to move on to our liaison reports. I'm going to start, Kathleen, anything from Freehold Regional High School, please.
Yeah, Freehold Regional had their last Board of Ed meeting August 25th. Freshman orientation at Marlboro was on August 24th with the new vice principal, Jennifer Dillette. She came from Freehold Township High School. She was an English supervisor there. They've recently approved Juneteenth as a school holiday. Materials for roof work at Marlboro High School should arrive any day and will start repairs shortly. Adhesive, rubber, and insulation are all in short supply, and this has led to delays in starting the work. No work will take place while the students are in the building, and the work will be concentrated when there is a string of days off, like the Jewish holidays or the NJEA convention. And the next meeting is on the 29th of this month.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I'm so sorry, because I didn't hear everything you said. So Juneteenth, that's a full holiday. Does that start this school year? Okay, thank you.
Christina, anything from Marlboro Township Alliance?
None to report.
Thank you. Jen, anything from Monmouth County School Board Association?
Yes, so we have a meeting on September 29th, and it's going to be in person and online.
Perfect. Trish, anything from municipal government?
Yes. as Mayor Hornick's continuation of the See Something, Say Something, We Will Do Something initiative, they announced the partnership with the Ring doorbell app. So you do not need Ring doorbell or any other security system to participate. You simply need to download the free app and register. If you do have a video security system of any brand, the police will use the app to request assistance on ongoing investigations. If you do not have a video system, you will still be able to get notifications and alerts from the police. Please remember to lock your car doors and take the fob out of the car. There is more about this program on the homepage of the township website. The Marlboro Farm Market is open every Sunday through October from 9 to 1. The domestic violence response volunteers, the police department's seeking volunteers to serve on this association. They will provide training. And if you have any questions about that, just a little bit more about DVRT. Their advocates are civilian members of the community who work collaboratively with the law enforcement to provide support, information, and resources to victims of domestic violence at police headquarters. And you can call Lieutenant McKenna at extension 1079 if you want more information on how to actually volunteer for that.
Thank you so much. Aldo, anything from NJSBA?
Nothing to report.
Thank you. Susie, anything from the PTO, PTA?
We had a meeting this morning. Just good stuff. The president's talking about, representing each of the different schools, talking about different fundraisers, talking about Thanksgiving fundraisers, Thanksgiving drives. Just really good stuff happening in the schools. Dr. Hibbs, do you have something to add?
Yeah, you did great. We did talk about Tofino receiving the 2022 National Blue Ribbon.
Yes.
Big shout out to Tofino. We're going to report out and have a ceremony at the next board meeting or one of the board meetings in October, which is great. And we have a whole plan for putting information out. We did report out. CPAG had a report, but I think we're going to do that one as well. Along with scope. And then we did talk about the food drive, trying to navigate how to keep the food drives at the building level, but coming together to help families if there was extras across the district. So just an incredible group of people that are unwaveringly focused on helping our community and our kids. So great meeting.
Thank you so much. Jess, do you want to take scope and CPAG at the same time, or? Okay.
I will. All right, so both Scope and CPAG have been very busy. The next CPAG meeting will be held on Friday, September 23rd at 7 p.m. The meeting is virtual. Please check the website, Facebook page, or the Remind app for link information. CPAG is utilizing the Remind app. Please enroll for quick updates and information. CPAG had a successful day getting to know MTPS families by hosting a table at Marlboro Day. Thank you to all who stopped by, shared their story, or offered to spread the word. We truly appreciate you. The CPAG website is up and running, www.marlboronjcpag.com. The Special Organization for Parents and Educators, which is SCOPE, was thrilled to be part of Marlboro Day, see old friends, and make a lot of new friends. SCOPE's website is now up and running too. Please visit https://scopemarlboro.ptboard.com to read more about the organization and join. Once registered, you will receive emails and texts with announcements. The next meeting will be on October 26th at 7 p.m. A link to the meeting for all registered members will be automatically sent out. Both CPAG and SCOPE flyers were mailed home to families from the Special Services Department. Both websites will be added to the district website, just in case you couldn't catch all those letters I was spelling out, under the Special Services tab, and Dr. Blair will be sending out a blast with the website information as well.
Thank you so much. Jen, anything from the Marlboro Educational Foundation?
Yes. So it was great seeing all of the kids and families at Marlboro Day on Sunday. Please come for our 4th annual game night, which was formerly known as Mahjong Night. on October 6th. I'm sure it's going to be another awesome night. It always is. It's so much fun. And then finally, congratulations from the MEF to the honorees this evening. These teachers are what makes the Marlboro schools amazing.
Thank you so much. Now we're going to move on to school liaisons. Aldo, anything from Asher Holmes?
Yeah, there's actually quite a bit. Thank you, Ms. Silmy, for sending everything over to me. So the PTA provided a staff brunch on September 2nd, and it was amazing as always. Asher's Spirit Days are the first Friday of every month. The PTA is sponsoring a family game night on September, well, I'm sorry, that was September. Let me go to October for you. And then schools are closed. Actually, I take that back. That was September also. Asher's Back to School Night is scheduled for 10/6, which means that day is a one-session day. First PTA book fair is scheduled for the week of 10/10. The second PTA meeting is scheduled for October 13th at 6:30 p.m. Our first school assembly is set for October 18th, and the theme is respect, which coincides with our SEL Pillar of the Month. School is closed on October 24th for Diwali. That is a staff professional development day. The PTA is planning a sweets and treats event for the staff on October 28th. There's also the Monster Mash scheduled for the evening of October 28th, and the Asher Halloween Parade is scheduled for October 31st, and more information will be following on that. And just to add, there's a ton going on at Asher, and I was just speaking with the PTA president the other day, and they really are doing a phenomenal job. Really, my hats off to them.
Thank you. Jess, anything about Abbott?
Yes, please join the Abbott Parents Facebook page. If you are an Abbott parent, you will have to answer a few questions, and you will then be receiving all the updates. Class parents are still needed for Mrs. Andel's PM Pre-K, Mrs. Engelberger, Mrs. Henneberger, Miss Rocco's, Miss Sousa's, Miss Wagner's, or Miss Sullivan's classes. So once you join Abbott Parents, you can reach out to the PTO, or you can email Christy Darcy, who's the PTO president. Back to school night was yesterday, 9/19, which was incredible. The Spirit Wear fundraiser just ended on Friday. And please help us fundraise for the Route 9 value card that was sent home in envelopes. It's cards with discounts to local businesses and restaurants in the area. It's $20, but the discounts are incredible. And that will be available through December 31st.
Thank you so much. Jen, anything from Defino?
Yes. So their kindergartners signed with Defino during orientation. I do have a picture if anyone wants to see it. They hosted their back to school bash, which was ice cream social, 2 Fridays ago for all the students and their families. They welcomed back Defino staff with an ice cream bar and debuted the Defino Diner with breakfast treats. Sounds delicious. Their first meeting was this past Friday on the 16th at 10 a.m. And they're getting ready for their book fair, Monster Mash, and fall food drive next month. If you want to see any of these pictures, come up to me. They look amazing.
Thank you very much. Jill, anything from Dugan?
Absolutely. Last Friday, September 9th, there was a very successful and delicious staff breakfast put on for the teachers by the PTA. The back to school dance is scheduled for Friday the 30th from 7 to 9. Ticket prices covers the cost of membership for the PTA, or free if you're already a PTA member, and can be purchased through the PT board. We're excited to have a glowing night of partying. The Dugan Dragons will have their first School Spirit Day and School Store of the Year also on September 30th. Come to school dressed in the school apparel or green and bring some money to buy some goodies. School apparel is still available for purchase through PT board. Cereal boxes can be donated through the end of the month for the Cereal Box Domino Rally, and then after the rally, all cereal boxes will be donated. The fall book fair will be coming up the first week in October, and more information will be provided soon. And finally, the first assembly for the year will be coming up on October 3rd.
Thank you so much. Susie, anything from Marlboro Elementary?
Yes, and I'm just going to keep it to September because, like all the other schools, we have so much going on. We had the ice cream social the first week. We are currently still open for parents to sign up for the PTO. To sign up means that you can participate in being a class parent or attending any of the PTO events and volunteering for it. We also have the Route 9 card, the value card on sale still. Our Spirit Wear fundraiser, we just extended it another week. Let's see, we had our first meeting last week. Our first snack sale is tomorrow. Tomorrow's a half day because we have back to school night tomorrow night. And let's see, I guess the last thing is September 22nd. Everyone come out to Jersey Freeze. We have a fundraiser for Morale, so please come out, support, get some ice cream, and let everyone know that you're there for Morale. And more to come for October.
Thank you so much. Trish, anything from Marlboro Memorial?
The PTA meeting is set for tomorrow at 9 a.m. And for pictures, that will be on September 30th with retakes October 26th.
Thank you. Kathleen, anything from Marlboro Middle School?
Yes. Back to school is on the 28th. Also on the 28th is the first dine out at La Rosa. Please mention MMS PTO and 20% will be donated back to the school. PTO fundraiser on October 7th is also School Spirit Day, and the PTO there are raising money for a Gaga pit. So have fun, kids. And September. November 5th, Saturday, clothing drive from 12 to 1:45 p.m. And the next meeting is October 12th, and it will be virtual. And as always, the links are found on their website.
Thank you so much. Christina, Robertsville?
Yes, thank you, Jackie Marino, for updating me on all the amazing things happening at Robertsville. You can check the Facebook page for updates on a daily basis. Recent events, they kicked off the school year right with a back-to-school teacher breakfast, which I'm sure the teachers loved. The PTO also hosted an ice cream social for students and faculty. And they did a stock the fridge where they put snacks and drinks in the faculty room for their refrigerator, which is so generous. Current events and fundraisers, the PTO in-person meeting with a Zoom option is on October 3rd. There is a PTO membership drive to collect dues to support the PTO. And there's lots of assemblies right now to kick off fundraising, chocolate, household items, cookie dough, delicious. New school Spirit Wear is on sale now, and Spirit Days are every Friday. Show off your school spirit. There are goodie bags for sale for back to school night that will be held virtually. The discount card fundraisers and a Jets game fundraiser for an October game are also on sale. Future events and fundraisers in October, you can look forward to the book fair, school store, book club, Boo Bash, Hip Hop Kids Assembly, and the Halloween Fest on October 21st at 5 p.m.
Thank you so much. So now we're going to move on to old business. Does anyone have old business? Yes, Dr. Hibbs.
I wanted to answer your question from CUSAC so you could look at it, or at least point you in the right direction for you and Mr. Petruna.
Thank you.
So the first 3 pages are all about, when you look at it, they're all about the scores that came from state assessments. If you see zeros there, it's because it doesn't apply to us. So you typically only get a score for where you lie. So we're the K to 8, so you're going to see that that's where we score points. And that goes all the way through page 3. Mm-hmm. In the bottom of page 3, it'll actually give you a summary of the achievement scores. Starting on page 4, what they do is, when COVID started, they started a practice of doing desk audits. So whatever they could monitor remotely and look in and look at your curriculum or look at your board minutes, they would do that, and they just generated the score. So if you see a 1 there, what it means is we got the 6 points. I don't know why they do it that way. It's confusing.
That is confusing.
So you can, but you'll know that because if you go all the way down to the bottom, you'll see that there's a maximum of, I believe, is it 40 or 60 at the end? Yeah, there's 40 that can come from curriculum and policy, and we were 40 for 40. So 48 out of 60 for the achievement and 40 for 40 ESPN on curriculum. for a
So the
total
1
rating.
is really representing a yes, you obtained the 6 points.
Yes.
That's confusing,
Why-
but thank you
why-
for clarifying
Why they
that.
do that, I have no idea. They generate these reports. You would think they'd be able to say 6 for 6 so they didn't confuse
Right.
people. And then honestly, they should filter out the ones that don't apply to you.
That would make more sense,
Yeah, because you
but-
look at zeros and you're like, why do you have a 0 or why do you have a 1?
Right.
We were perfect on that section.
Thank you very much.
Of course.
Any other old business? And that's crazy. I just want to say that on the record. That's just bad. I have other words to say. Sorry, I had. I know. We'll just leave it at that. I'm just gonna say.
Everything else in government is always
Just,
easy to
it's
understand.
I can't even. I know any other old business. Any new business? Holy mac! I see none. We're gonna move on to public comments. Those who wish to speak should state their full name and place of residence. Comments should be limited to 3 minutes. Please use the timer in front to be mindful of your time. Members of the public should be respectful and avoid back and forth or debate with administration professionals or board members responding to the inquiry or comment. Again, no back and forth, be respectful and civil. School board members and administration will withhold comment until after the public comments. Do we have anybody, Ben?
Yes, Dr. Heller.
Thank
So
you.
First up is Mr. Moshe Grant.
Good evening again. Moshe Grant, 8 Sudbury Road. Now, our town. Our town is home to very intelligent residents, Mr. Hibbs. I'm not sure what you understand about what I said when I was standing here. Maybe you're having a slow day, so let me try to help you, okay? Maybe you're having a slow day, so let me try to help you. When Mr. Ballone and me spoke 3 times over the last week, you can stay relaxed, it's okay, you don't need to get all hyper. When we spoke for 3 times in the last 3 weeks, in the last week, I'm sorry, on September 14th for 50 minutes, on September 15th for 10 minutes, and today for 60 minutes. That's 2 hours of talking, and the conversation was not about explaining to me why my opt-out form was denied. The conversation was about trying to find a way, a legal way, to be able to implement everything that I requested for within this opt-out form, and I respect Mr. Ballone a lot for doing it. What I noted is that it was supposed to arrive today based on what me and Mr. Ballone agreed and spoke about. And I'm gonna repeat what I said before, just in case you missed it before, because that's what it sounded like when you replied saying things that I did not say. Mr. Ballone will send us an official district communication guaranteeing that none of the items on section 2, items A through L of our own opt-out form will be presented to our children within all other curriculums, Mr. Hibbs, other curriculums, lessons, programs, and activities outside of the health curriculum, outside of health education, family life education, or sex education programs as noted in policy 5250. All I said is that we agreed that he will do it. He sent an email saying that he will do it, and the email did not come yet. I did not say that he explained to me why my opt-out form was not approved. He found a way to get it approved. So get on board, please. Mr. Ballone, would you like to confirm?
Thank you. Ben?
Sure. Next up is Ms. Phoebe Dewad. Okay. Not a problem.
Sorry?
Judge,
Oh,
Ms. Dewad
okay.
does not want to speak. Next up, forgive me if I mispronounce the names. Please correct me if I do. Arijo Patel, 2 Sheffield Court. Okay. Next up, Amir Hain, 7 Egret Lane. And then the last one on the list was Nag Pugati, 50 Waterford Avenue.
Okay, I guess we'll move
Would
forward.
anybody else like to speak?
I can't hear you.
Oh, that's all.
There we go.
Phoebe the Wood, 3 Windcrest Road. So just to piggyback off of that, if I heard correctly, I think although that law doesn't, I guess can't opt out except from health and, whatever other topics. I know like years ago I spoke to Dr. Hibbs, Mr. Pallone, and that was back in the days when nobody knew anything about this curriculum, and you said you would, consider, putting whatever needs to be put at a very bare minimum. So I think I do like the idea that I heard that this gentleman here asked for things to be opted out from. I think it's better not to play games with the community and say, oh, it's not, like if it's outside of health, you can't opt out of it. I think you get the point that we live in a community that is open-minded yet conservative, and we just want to make sure that you're, reminded of that. We like to keep our values, and we like to, not to have school or anything, put aside their values and trespass on things, on topics that they don't belong to discuss. So I think if we focus on the academics that we lack tremendously, if we compare ourselves to other places in the world, I think this is where we need to focus. If we save the money that we have to spend, again, to improve the academics and stay away from all this noise, that's what we need to do. So whether or not, again, a person can or cannot opt out, the bottom line is that we don't want you incorporating all this inclusive material anywhere in the curriculums. And I hope you could respect the choice of parents and of the community. And many other districts in New Jersey, actually, we were the first to actually consider parents' opinion that a few months ago, but many other districts made things as an opt-in policy, even for surveys. We didn't do that, so at the very least, let's not sprinkle things around, because parents are not stupid and people here are educated and like to retain their values. Thank you.
Thank you. Vin?
Mrs. Bonnie Gabazon.
Thanks.
Bonnie Gabazon, Marlboro, New Jersey. Gonna wing it tonight, which is not my usual. I've been coming here a long time, and I'm hearing opt-out, and it's very reminiscent, and I hate to continue to bring up park testing many years ago, but there are a lot of similarities. And I remember coming here when the over-testing and the park testing and the state testing was a big issue and a big concern among parents across the state. And I was probably the only one coming here and saying, no, my kids are not going to take that test. And by the course of it all, I believe over 10% of the students refused to take the test. So my point is that opting out is always a parent's option. I remember back then you said, no, you can't opt out of the test. No, you can't opt out of giving the test, but it is always a parent's right to refuse or to opt out of anything in their child's educational experience that does not sit well with them for whatever reason that is. So I would encourage parents who do feel strongly about it to not come here and ask permission to opt out, but just really to figure out ways where you can refuse the curriculum that is not in line with your child, what you want for your child. Anyway, my point is you don't need permission to opt out. You don't need permission to refuse anything. You are your person, you are your parent, your children's protectors, and that is always a parent's right. I also understand from my previous experiences that so much of what ends up in our schools comes from the state level and even the federal level in the way that it's tied to money that, you know, gets sent to our schools. So I know Marlboro has wonderful teachers. I put 3 kids through schools here, and I really have very little, yeah, they've done a great job. My kids are good, and they've gotten a great education here because the teachers have always been the saving grace of this school district. That being said, we rely on our board members to be the protectors of what comes into our school from the state level. There are so many mandates and even the state standards. You know, those are things that really you cannot just nod your head to. You really, really have to pay attention, because outside of our school district, you don't know where all of this is coming from, and we rely on our board members to really dig deep and take deep dives and really pay attention to what is being brought down into our schools and to protect our kids from things that are developmentally inappropriate.
Thank you very much. Anybody else like to speak?
Nope, that is,
No?
that's it, Dr. Heller.
Okay. Administrators and/or board members will respond afterward. I'd like to make a motion to close public comments. Do I have a second? Tricia, any discussion? I see none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. The ayes have it. Would anyone from the board or the administration like to comment? Yes, Trish.
Mr. Grant, at the beginning of this meeting, we talked about respect, and if you're having a slow day, let me help you. I'd love for you to get on board and be respectful. Now, if you find that offensive to me talking to you like that, okay, well, I would have found that offensive. So I'm going to apologize for using your words to you, because I do find that offensive. It is Dr. Hibbs, it's not Mr. Hibbs, and I just wanted to say that we care about our kids. As a board member, I do see myself as a protector of our students. I think we do a really good job with curriculum. Are we perfect? No one's perfect. When we are pointed out that things aren't quite right, we're all open-minded, I think, here on this board, and try to do what's best for the parents and our students. And we do respect parents' options, and that's why we were so good in addressing it as a board. You do have the right to opt out, and you can opt in. And so I'm glad that our community takes advantage of that, and absolutely be an advocate for your students, your children, as I am for mine. So thank you for the parents that did ask questions, opt in, opt out, and voiced your concerns to the board, because we are here, we are members of this community. We do listen, we do care. It is not an us against them, it's we together. Let's do it together and be strong. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Just very quickly.
Yes.
Mr. Grant, I'm happy to have a conversation with you too, but we have numerous emails that go back and forth trying to help you understand how to opt out. So I think you're trying to use semantics and say that it's not about the denial. Sir, us trying to help you was all about trying to help you get what you wanted for your children, which we've never stopped doing through emails or phone conversations. And I know Mr. Balone did agree to send you an email. Mr. Balone?
Yeah, first, Mr. Grant, thank you for your time. You've given up a lot of your time. I know you're busy working, and I do appreciate the discourse that we finally were able to have. Just one item of clarification. Just this afternoon, we worked through, and I know the public is not going to understand this necessarily because you're not in it, but we talked about paragraph 2, Mr. Grant, in your request, your original opt-out. That was just decided today. how we were going to approach that piece. So, quite honestly, the day of a board meeting, meeting you late morning into the afternoon, I'm gathering all of the information I can as quickly as possible. So the agreement was we would meet prior to tonight's board meeting, which I upheld my promise to do so. I will certainly get you what you need in the most expedient fashion possible. I just want to give you a comprehensive list. Resources, Mrs. Silmy sitting here in the audience. Thank you, Mrs. Silmy, for sharing your presentation, which will also be shared with Mr. Grant. Just wanted to make sure I pulled that together for you so it was sort of one-stop shopping in email and not kind of piecemeal. I know emails kind of get buried over time. So if your expectation was there would be a solution, I don't know, 7 hours from our meeting, I'm sorry I didn't meet that expectation. But in my opinion, that's an unreasonable expectation, but I will certainly get you what you need in due time. Certainly before Thursday, because that's the day. So certainly looking to get that to you by tomorrow, and I will adhere to that promise. So thank you. Mrs. Daywad, can I address some other issues? Okay, so Mrs. Daywad, I'm going to use your words, not mine. We don't play games with the community. Certainly don't do that. Mr. Grant, I'm sure, can attest to that, as we've just had that meeting today. You said we need to focus. We need to focus on academics that we lack tremendously. I don't even understand that comment, so I'd love to have a further conversation with you about that. Perhaps I can understand that a little better. Our students, our staff members are focused just the opposite. They tremendously focus on academics. They are the boots on the ground, and our school district is an exemplary school district that does focus on academics. So I'm not quite sure where that came from. Your third comment, that we shouldn't include inclusive materials anywhere in the curriculum. I'm not quite sure what to say about that. I mean, part of that mandate is also students with disabilities. So I have a hard time swallowing that comment. We are inclusive of everybody, and I really struggle with that piece. We never called parents stupid. You mentioned that as well. I don't ever remember any of us saying that. So we value our community, we value our staff members, we value our board members, our community members, our parents, guardians. I just had to point out some of those inaccuracies that were stated on camera to ensure, I just want the public to know that we are on your side, Mrs. Branch. We're partners with the community, and we're here to assist in any way possible, albeit they could be some different avenues or different ways of getting to the point that parents, guardians, staff members, students want to get to, and we do try to explore all avenues. But I really took exception to some of those comments. And that's all I have.
Okay, Kathleen, please.
Mr. Ballone, I'm speaking, I know I'm sitting in this chair, but I'm speaking as a parent of a current 8th grade student. And I'll be very honest, my husband and I opted my son out. That was our choice. We decided that was in his best interest. And I don't want Mr. Ballone's words about confounding, or whatever word you want to use, about I am not against, or people like me, or parents like me are not against our children learning about people with disabilities. That is people like me, I guess, who want to protect my son to the utmost ability and don't want him learning at age 13 the things that were in the 8th grade curriculum. Obviously, I've been very open. My son has an IEP. My son has learning disabilities. He's well aware that he's different than his peers. I want him to learn about that. There are other things that my husband and I don't feel comfortable. So I don't want the public hearing this to think that people like me, who is very vocal on what I've done for my son, doesn't mean that I'm anti-disabilities. I formed CPAD for this district. I mean, so I actually took offense with that said, or not, maybe not offense, I was hurt by your words. So that's not what I'm for. I'm for protecting my son. Just like every other parent here, I would never tell another parent what they should or shouldn't do with their child. And that's what this opt-in, opt-out is for. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Can I
Yes,
just-
Trish.
So Kathleen, obviously we heard a little bit differently. Correct me if I'm wrong, but what I heard you say was that someone said inclusiveness, and you said the policy states, the standard states, that also includes disabilities. And so you were uncomfortable with that. Not a diss against anything about parents that opted out for it. It's just you had a hard time understanding, like, inclusiveness in the standard, if I'm saying it correctly, includes disabilities. And so you'd want to talk about that because you support that. But to Kathleen's point, it's a very broad category. So, right? Did I understand both of that? Okay, I just wanted to make sure I was clear.
Exception that you took with Michael. No, it doesn't matter. I can still ask the question. I don't understand the exception you took with Michael. Michael didn't say anything. Mike, did you mention or reference Mrs. Amster at all?
No, in fact, I was speaking about a community member who came up to public comment, but I just wanted to ensure that everyone
Well,
understood that.
Just so I can help this out, just to guide it. Based on what Tricia said, you used whatever words you used, and Kathleen asked the question. Can you just elaborate to expand on what you? Yeah, could you just expand?
Yeah, I guess I'll repeat on the comment that was made at public comment.
Yes.
And I'll quote, "We should not include inclusive materials anywhere in the curriculum." So that's what was said by a community member, not by Mrs. Amster. So I was just addressing, I was just addressing the community member by saying that that includes individuals with disabilities, just for everyone out there in the public to understand that is inclusive of those individuals as well, because I think that gets lost sometimes, and I just wanted to clarify that piece. That's all I was saying.
But I think if you're looking at Ms. Dewad, I apologize for mispronouncing your name. She was shaking her head no, so I was just reading her cues. Again, inclusivity, yes, is a very broad term, and I don't think any parent, like Kathleen was saying, would want to exclude children with disabilities from that. But I think there's a very clear line, and it's very different when we're talking about teaching children to be kind to everyone, no matter what their ability or disability, or then the difference between that and then teaching children about anal and oral sex. That is very different. So I think I don't want it to get lost that I don't think just based on the way she was shaking her head, and this is where I would love a back and forth, because I would want clarification as to what she meant. Because from sitting there, she's shaking her head, so I'm assuming she didn't mean that, but I can't put words in her mouth because I am not her.
I guess, Dr. Heller.
So I don't want this to get away like it did, like the Dr. Hibbs responded last week. I don't want it to become a. I'm not saying.
No, I just don't understand why Dr. Hibbs or anybody up here, if this person is feeling a certain way, that's their truth. No one's allowed to say, I don't really think he offended you. I don't really think he.
No, I wasn't saying that. I was just saying I heard it differently.
Not you, Tricia.
That's all.
Not you.
I didn't say that. Look, I'm not interested in arguing. However, at the end of the day, if you made a comment to Michael that I just felt needed clarification, because I listened to the words that Michael said, and he wasn't addressing anything other than the comment to the community member. That's it. And I have said this publicly for years. Feelings are feelings. You can feel however you like, ma'am. I will never try to change your feelings. I think we should just move on.
Sorry. So, Christine just spoke. Would anybody like to respond? Mike, Eric, Tricia, anybody? Kathleen, anyone?
Can I just ask a question? Because what you said was inclusiveness is teaching anal sex, and that is not, that's not an accurate statement. That's confusing to me.
Excuse me.
No. So I just, because again, that's on public record, that inclusiveness is equal or encapsulates a part of the standard that is separate. I'm just making sure that I understand curriculum-wise, inclusiveness is not saying teach anal sex, right?
Correct.
Okay, I just want to make sure. Thank you.
Not at all. Okay, so, would anybody else from the administration or board like to talk? Okay, so we're going to move on to executive resolution. Be it resolved that in accordance with the provisions of Open Public Meetings Act, the Marlboro Township Board of Education shall conduct a closed executive session pursuant to the exceptions prescribed by NJSBA 10:4-12 for the purpose of discussing matters of attorney-client privilege and legal matters. It is anticipated that the length of time of this executive session will be 30 minutes?
Yeah.
30 minutes, and that action will not be taken in public after the executive session. Be it further resolved that the minutes of the executive session will be released when the need of confidentiality in accordance with NJSA 10:4-12 no longer applies. I am making a motion to go into executive session. Can I get a second, please?
I'll second.
Trish, second. Any discussion? I see none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. The ayes have it. Good night, everyone. Be safe, be healthy, and enjoy the rest of your September.